Okay, good morning and good afternoon. Today we're going to look at social and domestic policy. You can see the definitions for social and domestic. Um, we're going to look basically at policy that has to do with everything within the United States. Um, what policy does this exclude? It's obviously foreign policy, which we'll talk about in our next lesson. There's four different areas that we're going to focus on. We have business and labor policy um, first, and you can see NAFTA is a big part of this. NAFTA was signed in 1993, and it allows free trade between the United States, Canada, and Mexico, which are the countries in North America. What else does the United States do to aid businesses? You can see at the bottom the four things: tax incentives, government loans, free services, and direct cash payments. Um, and you can see they're all a big part of what we do in our businesses. I'd like to point out in number three that census reports are used by a lot of businesses. And, we talked about the census with Congress, but again, the census is very important for more than one aspect of our country. The second area, the second part of this is the departments that really play a big role in business. You can see the Commerce Department, which was mentioned yesterday as part of our cabinet. Small Business Administration, which is an independent agency, and then the Federal Trade Commission, also an independent agency. And you can see there what they do and what role they play. The second area is agriculture and the environment, and obviously our country started as an agricultural country, so it's always been important for us. As agriculture and our country have changed, so has policy and domestic policy. So obviously we have the Department of Agriculture, and it helps farmers in a lot of different ways. You can see through marketing services, price stabilization, and promoting conservation as well. The EPA also plays a big part in this as they try to help us protect our air and water from pollution. You can see the Clean Air Act in 1990, which tried to reduce emissions, and Water Pollution Control Act in 1972. This is really big for us in this area. The Chesapeake Bay waterways are a big part of controlling pollution, and that's been a movement around this area for many years. The next area is health and public assistance, and this is kind of an area that gets a bad rap. You talk about things like Social Security, unemployment insurance, disability insurance, food stamps, things like that. A lot of times people take advantage of these things, but again, these are all made with the best intentions to try and help people that need help. Again, people have taken advantage of them, so I think they're programs that get a bad name. But again, they're not bad programs. I think the big problem here is that they're not run efficiently. Another area is education. Federal government doesn't do a lot with education, obviously. Looking at our school, for example, it's run locally. A lot of the funding comes from the state, but the federal government does do certain things that affect us. Things like No Child Left Behind in 2002, and a lot of the testing we do starts at the federal level. Housing and urban programs. We mentioned HUD yesterday, and the fact that HUD helps some people get houses. It also insures house mortgages. With that comes the whole Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac fiasco that we had a couple years ago, where a lot of people really struggled because these mortgage companies could no longer back up their mortgages, basically. It kind of a big problem, and the government had to take control of these. And actually, we had to lend them, as you can see there, about $200 billion. Department of Transportation, you can see the four parts of that: aviation, highway, railroad, and then the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. That's all for today. Have a great day.